Recording progress.
Okay, so I welcome all of you to this session, taking you further on this topic of anemia. Okay, hope you will all not become anemic. You should never. That's the rule. Okay, so to know how different anemias appear morphologically in the peripheral smear. So previous class we have discussed the causes of important morphological types of anemia, that is microcytic and macrocytic anemias, and we have defined anemia, right? So I'll start sharing the screen. Let us have what we have here. These PPTs are made by Aparna and I think edited by Nandini, because Aparna is only okay. So visible, and it's visible to us. I don't know to the students. This is a question now that you have in mind. So when we see all this, what it could be. Yes. So here just I'll tell you that's a competency, and the objectives are. One thing is basic knowledge we have to have, how to go further to investigate a patient who has got what? Anemia. So how do we know he has got anemia? Some of the clinical features I've told you and supported by the laboratory evidence. So for your level now, you know, hemoglobin has decreased. That's how you define anemia, right? So the next is the skill. What is the skill? Systematic approach to examining a stained peripheral smear. So only one skill that students have in pathology now with the CPME is a psychomotor skill is making a peripheral smear. That's all. So once the students come back, we're going to teach them how to prepare a nice peripheral smear. I should not say nice, ideal peripheral smear. Okay. So here we're teaching them the skill of examination of a peripheral smear. So the skill here is knowledge-based, analysis-based, visualization. So how it is seen. So we always say in pathology, what the mind does not know, eyes will not look for. So prior knowledge. So if I know how an elephant is, I can identify an elephant. Otherwise, even if the elephant is standing, that's a big animal, huge animal, standing in front of me, I'll be blind. Means not blind. So knowledge blind, ajnana andhakara we say. Okay, no knowledge. So that makes us blind in the sense and in dark. Okay, so knowledge is very important here. Only thing we are talking basics of iron deficiency, macrocytic and macrocytic anemia. So this is all a repetition. I'll skip this. So you need to ask a question for yourself and then give the answer yourself. Define anemia. So what is the lower limit or the range below which we say patient or person is anemic in pregnancy, in newborn, at birth, male, female, everything, and what is the WHO criteria. So an exercise for you. So I will not be a reading software here. I just want you people to read, understand, analyze. Yeah, this also we said. So full medical history, complete medical history pertaining to general. So the clinician would have done it. And then examination of the patient. We just said only salient features, what needs to be identified. But see, there are so many other things. Please go back and read from your clinical books. So specific, so color of the conjunctiva, then the nail. So why did you close the eyes? I don't know. What do you want to show here? Oh, skin you're showing. Okay. I thought you made a slide which talks about conjunctiva. Conjunctiva is your face. So the pallor of the skin. Okay. So we have to take better pictures because the pallor of the skin here, the color is talking about pigmentation. See, pigmentation and no pigmentation rather than the pallor. Yes. So the tongue, so normal, pale. This is what we usually tell everybody to look at their tongue to know whether they're developing or going on to develop or developed, especially iron deficiency or B12. Okay, rough tongue, pink in color, rough due to the papillae. Now here it is, pale and bald. Okay, fine. So what is this? Why cervical lymphadenopathy have shown? Okay, so this cannot be a symptom of anemia. Only in hemolytic anemia, we talk more about the hepatosplenomegaly because of extramedullary hemophoresis. So even here, there could be lymph node also, we can say extramedullary hemophoresis. But see, secondary, anemia could be due to infections or due to lymphomas that you can talk about. So this is hepatosplenomegaly that you have shown, hepatosplenomegaly. But this is marked splenomegaly, a child. So we can think of cytic anemia, which has more. So we need to plan for investigation of anemia. So patients are sent to us to the laboratory, and of course the clinician would advise the required investigations, but the clinician would request for the desired investigations. But later, with all this, we have to advise them to move further for definitive diagnosis wherever it is required. So screening tests are hemoglobin estimation, peripheral blood smear examination, and all this, red cell counts, indices, leukocyte platelet count. So usually they write it as complete hemogram. So when they are very particular about the peripheral blood smear also, this is their understanding and how we get the request. So when they say complete blood counts, so the peripheral smear, we feel they're not bothered about the peripheral smear. Yes. Then further confirmatory tests like bone marrow. No, you went yesterday to do a bone marrow. That was a case of pancytopenia. What is pancytopenia? Anemia with leukopenia and thrombocytopenia. Okay. So one of the common causes we have to know, I'll tell you further, for pancytopenia. Which type of anemia? Megaloblastic anemia, pancytopenia. Usually macrocytic anemia is present with pancytopenia. Then further biochemical tests. Okay. So hemoglobin estimation, the first and the foremost. I won't talk much about it because you have all learned about it in physiology. But here the who has written? Yeah, Nandini has written. Sign methemoglobin is the most accurate. Yeah, better than all the other methodologies. Yes. Now we have automated instruments which give us the hemoglobin value. And another important thing that is written here is for cyan methemoglobin method of hemoglobin estimation, we use a reagent which is called as Radkin's reagent, Radkin solution. Do you know what it contains? Potassium cyanide. Okay. So people used to be very scared initially of this Radkin solution because cyanide is a poison. So the amount is very less, but still the cyanide which we keep to prepare this, yeah, be careful with this. Otherwise, the Radkin solution, maybe we have to drink liters of it to get poisoned. So if hemoglobin is less than normal, then the patient is said to be anemic. So next, further, peripheral blood smear. So though automated machines can do this, thank God. So still, hematologists or the pathologists seeing the peripheral smear is the standard, gold standard. Cannot rely on the artificial intelligence of the machines. Okay. The examination of the peripheral blood smear for morphological features. So we make a blood smear, peripheral smear. If there's a peripheral smear here, just take one. I think there are lots here. And the smear that is made has to be stained. Otherwise, we cannot observe the RBCs or WBCs or platelets, whatever the cells are there, we cannot see them. Okay, the smear has to be stained, colored, otherwise they are not seen in the microscopy. So, how do we stain a peripheral smear? Staining of a peripheral smear is important. So, we use Romanowsky stains. So, this is a broad category when we say Romanowsky stains. So, Romanowsky stains, see, this is a stained peripheral smear. Okay. So, how do we know which to which patient this belongs? So, we always have this number written, okay, or we can generate this barcoding also. This is very old slide which was just there here on the table I'm showing you, and the name is also written here. So each laboratory can have, but what is required is the identification. That's very important. Okay. Yes. So this is stained with Leishman stain. That is what we use. So Romanowsky stains are stains that have a combination of methylene blue and eosin in varying proportions. So examples for Romanowsky stains are Leishman stain, Giemsa stain, Wright stain, Jenner stain. Okay. So we say Giemsa stain is a better nuclear stain, whereas Wright stain gives better cytoplasmic details. Yes. So we have combination to compensate for all this. There are stains which are combined. So they are called as panoptic, you can say. So May Grunwald Giemsa stain. This is the favorite stain for cytologists. May Grunwald Giemsa. It's called as MGG stain or Jenner Giemsa. The combinations come. So here I've told you what is a Romanowsky stain. What are the two basic dyes that are there and the combinations and examples. So if this is asked you in the exam, you have to remember. Some examiners are definitely fond of asking you this question. Yes. So I was showing you a peripheral smear. We need to examine for the morphology of RBCs, which is very important. So peripheral smear has got different parts. The head. So this is the head of the peripheral smear, the body and the tail. In addition, it has got margins. We use a spreader to make the peripheral smear. So these are the margins. This is the head, body, tail. So if you just go and observe the cells at the head, all the RBCs are, they're crowded there. They look like thick. It looks like a thick smear and lot of brulee is there. If we go to the extreme periphery, they all look round. Their morphology is not normal. So we have to choose an area, junction of the body and the tail, where RBCs are just separated from each other or just touching each other so that we can appreciate the morphology. So thick smear is also very useful to us for determining the presence of malarial parasite. I'll take another class on this. And margins are also important. Many a times the larger cells go there, even if there is a microfilaria, because while we are making a smear, that also goes to the periphery. Yes. So this is how it has to be. So the cells should be just touching each other or separate from each other. This is the area where we look for how the RBCs appear. Okay. So these are all the different morphological features of abnormal RBCs. So normally it is a discocyte. I told you yesterday, disc-like, but biconcave disc, right? So, but it appears as normocytic, normochromic. When do we say it is normochromic? We look at the central hemoglobinization. So when it is less than 1/3 the diameter of the cell, we call it as normochromic. So one more PPT could be presented to you, which shows all these abnormal cells. But quickly, I just go through, show you this. So this is microcytic hypochromic. So this is a lymphocyte. Compare the cells, they're smaller microcytic. So these are cells, compare with the lymphocyte here, they're larger, so they're oval macrocytes, they're macrocytes, megaloblastic anemia. These are sickle shaped red cells. These are spirocytes. Spirocytes are They're usually smaller, they're round, no pallor at all. Okay. Then these are target cells. Target, the central dark area, round, outer rim, target. So I'll talk more about the target cells later when we talk about thalassemia. So this is also present in thalassemia. When we are treating iron deficiency also we see this that HBC disease, abnormal hemoglobin, HBC, that also shows a lot of target cells. Then schistocytes, they're broken. Yesterday I told you how they're all broken. So Burr cells, so look at these projections on the surface, how the cytoplasm is coming out. Okay, this is an uremia. And later we see RBC lysis also. We call it as hemolytic uremic syndrome. Then teardrop cells, typical teardrop, okay, or a blood drop. Whenever we want to show, we use this. So teardrop cells. So they're also present in thalassemia, iron deficiency anemia. Many are seen in myelofibrosis. That is, when the bone marrow has lot of fibrosis and very less marrow elements. Marrow is or fibrosis setting in the marrow. Then look at these RBCs. They're larger. They're almost like the size of lymphocyte. No pallor at all. But look at the color. What do they have? They've got a tinge of blue, tinge of pink color. So that is polychromatically RBCs. So what are they? They're just the immediate precursor of normocyte. There, if you do a special stain and then see that is supravital stain, they all have reticulin network, so we call them as reticulocytes. So these are RBCs. They all have something extra within them, most of them, so which we do not expect. So basophilic stippling, when the RBCs show lot of bluish dots. This is especially seen in megaloblastic anemia, lead poisoning, thalassemia. So there, the remnants of the nuclei or nuclear, what? There, yeah. So Havel-Jolly body is a nuclear remnant. So RNA and all that. That means something that the nucleus, when it is going out, has left. Yes. So if they're very coarse, they're fine stippling, coarse stippling. If they're very coarse and irregular, so we call them as Pappenheimer bodies. So they are the they represent the non-heme iron. So how do we demonstrate iron? Pearl stain. So if you do Prussian blue or pearl stain, all those irregular, slightly coarser granules take a blue color. So then we call it as a siderocyte. Okay. What is it that you have learned in relation to presence of something precursor of iron in the cells? CBC lung. Siderophages. So there it is macrophages containing hemosiderin. So siderocyte here is an RBC containing non-heme iron, not hemosiderin, non-heme iron. So yesterday you saw some ring. What was that? Sideroblast, ring sideroblast. So there again, it is the non-heme iron granules that are there surrounding the nucleus. Fine. So Havel-Jolly bodies, these are the nuclear remnants. See, the nucleus is not totally thrown off. So a small portion of the nucleus is left. So it just looks like the nucleus, but it will be situated at the periphery of the cell and usually 1 micron or less than 1 micron. So to say it is DNA, it is derived from the DNA. What has to be done? Stain for DNA. Okay. You are telling me that they acridine orange. Otherwise, even there is something called a fusion reaction. So you can do all that to demonstrate it is DNA. So bite cells, especially glucose 6, phosphate dehydrogenase, you can see, and pinched off one portion. Rouleau formation. Normally, when we look at the coagulated, anticoagulated blood, so they all settle down, the Rouleau formation. Okay. So one above the other, the RBCs are arranged like stacks of a coin. So normally we don't find that, but if it is heavy rouleau formation, we find it only in the thick portion of the smear, blood smear. But if we find it in the thinner portion also, that means a lot of immunoglobulins which are making this cells come together. So one of the conditions is multiple myeloma. So when we talk about ESR, I've told you the first stage is rouleau formation. So why rouleau? Because of all these factors and globulins that are there. Then because they're heavy, they settle. That's why in multiple myeloma, ESR is markedly raised. The nucleated red cells. These are, we were talking about the siblings and all that. So elder siblings. They're normally not seen in the peripheral smear. If they're released into the peripheral smear, that talks about the severity of anemia. So this is agglutination. Remember, just day before yesterday, you were seeing a case. RBCs are all haphazardly arranged. They're all grouped. Okay. No social distancing, nothing at all. So there is exactly what we see in these marketplaces now. So it is rouleau, not rouleau, agglutination. Haphazardly, they're all attached to each other. Okay. So this rouleau formation is, the rouleau formation here is, okay, there is a systematic way. They're above the other. So imagine in a place where 50 people have to stand in a queue, one behind the other. So if you put about 80 people, how? So that is, that's like a rouleau. Agglutination is no queue, nothing, haphazardly. They're all in groups. So these are normal red cells. We'll show you this better pictures of this. So repetition again, anisocytosis. What is anisocytosis? Variation in the size of the cells. This is large, this is teardrop, this is small, this is normal, this is normal, this is small. So that is anisocytosis. Poikilocytosis is increased variation in the shape. Okay, so this is all about these two pictures about anisocytosis. So poikilocytosis is increased. Normally there will be slight variation, but if it is marked, then we say whether it is moderate or marked variation. So poikilocytosis is variation in the shape. Severe poikilocytosis is where the bone marrow is fibrous, lot of fibrosis. What was that? Just now I told, very good. I told you about the teardrop cells. So myelofibrosis. So variation in size, increased variation in size of the red cell is okay. And so again we are with anisocytosis, variation in the size that is again shown. So poikilocytosis is variation in the shapes. Now, so there's a normal RBC, that's the standard. You're seeing this RBC, which is smaller microcyte. This is larger. Okay. So macrocytes. I don't think macrocytes are very evident here. They're found. So macrocytic anemia, important causes are, you classified them yesterday as macrocytic based on the bone marrow, whether it is megaloblastic bone marrow or normoblastic. For undergraduates, let us talk about megaloblastic bone marrow. So the cell is large. That means the parents are also very large, right? So parent of a normocyte is normoblast. So parent of a macrocyte is megaloblast. So they're also large, right? Yes. So they're found in megaloblastic anemia. Important causes for megaloblastic anemia, please do not forget. So it is vitamin B12 deficiency, folic acid deficiency. Okay, there are other causes, but we're talking about the nutritional deficiency here, B12 and vitamin B12 and folic acid deficiency. Yes. So that is megaloblastic anemia. Bone marrow will show large erythroblast RBC precursors. We call them as megaloblastic. Aplastic anemia is another cause, but in aplastic anemia, you said the macrocytes are. What am I showing here? Oval is this. I would have shown oval like. I would have shown oval like this. Round. So chronic liver disease. How are the macrocytes? They're round. So macrocytic, megaloblastic, B12 and folic acid, remember they're ovulocytes. Yes. So what do we see in this blood picture? So even though there is no small lymphocyte for comparison, these cells are so big. No, they're macrocytes. Yes. So red cell morphology again, normal, megaloblastic. See the macrocyte here is shown as oval, slightly oval. So this is the normoblast. Okay, this is megaloblast. Okay, blood smear in macrocytic anemia. Okay, so we are just talking about how the blood picture appears. Then we do special tests to establish the cause of megaloblastic anemia, whether it is B12 or folic acid deficiency. Okay, so hemoglobin value is below normal because we're calling it as anemia. So RBCs show macrocytosis. RBCs are macrocytic. So they could be normochromic, or they could show hypochromia. There will be anisocytosis, poikilocytosis. That means variation in size, variation in shape also, and presence of macroovelocyte. So this is a nice macroovelocyte. Forget the Alveoli body here. This is a macroovelocyte. Then in addition, we see lot of other features. Well-stained blood smear, and hemoglobin is very less. So we see lot of other findings. So this is basophilic stippling. Okay. Blue dots in the remnants of RNA lesions. Blue dots, multiple blue dots in the RBCs. Then see, RBCs have some rings. The ring could be like a ring, or it could be in the form of, what is this? What is this I'm writing? 8. So they could be in the shape of figure of 8. Okay. Then if they're responding to treatment or whatever, you may see polychromatophilic or polychromatophilic RBCs tell us the bone marrow activity, and very important is presence of these cells. So the WBC, especially neutrophil, gives us an indication. So it has got more lobes. Look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Normally the lobes of the neutrophils are 2 to 5. So when they exceed 5, more than 6, we call them as hypersegmented neutrophils. So these are all things. Okay. Why don't we find all these in the normal peripheral smear? Spleen removes all this. Okay. Spleen is like a beauty parlor for these RBCs. It removes all extra things. Spleen has got two functions. One is the culling phenomenon, the other is pitting phenomenon. Okay, pitting is it selectively pits only that. So you're showing this Alveoli body here. Can you make out? So it just removes that without damaging the architecture or whatever. Okay. So blackheads that are removed. So it pits. Then culling is, it just sees from, culling was a shepherd, I believe. He used to sit and watch the herd of sheep and pick up only those which are diseased and then isolate them, just like the COVID, what we were doing, right? So it identifies all abnormal shaped RBCs. That's why there will be hemolysis also. So spirocytes and all, it picks up and then destroys them. Okay. So when it cannot do that function, overload, all these remain. So what are these two cells that I am showing? Hypersegmented neutrophil. Any other finding that you can see in this neutrophil? This one? There's a very nice bar body here. Okay, drumstick. We don't call it as bar, but drumstick. So this is a nuclear tiny lobe which is attached to the lobe of another nuclear lobe by a thread, chromatin thread. So drumsticks, you know, what we used to beat the drums. So what does it suggest? What does it suggest? I'm asking you. I said, don't call this as bar body, call this as drumstick. It may represent. So that talks about the sex of the individual. Don't you think we use peripheral smear to detect the, or if we are given peripheral smear, we would be able to say the sex of the individual? Yes. So presence of this hypersegmented neutrophil is a very sensitive and most, I should say, earliest indicator or specific sign of megaloblastic anemia. That's why I tell everybody to make a mention of hypersegmented polymorphs if they're there in the peripheral smear. A good clinician, if he goes through and reads the report, so something should strike his brain that this patient might develop B12 or folic acid deficiency and just give him therapy. Yeah, so just treat him with B12 and folic acid. So this is forecast of him developing anemia. So these represent neutrophils that have got why so many? That means they're staying in the circulation for an extended period of time, or something like a senescent RBC. And basic defect in megaloblastic anemia is DNA synthesis. Okay, so that's why all these become abnormal. So this was a teaching we had when we were students from our teachers. So if we find megaloblastic, if we find hypersegmented neutrophils, and if there are more than 3 hypersegmented, that is more than 3 neutrophils which have got more than 5 or 6 lobes per 100 neutrophils, that is incipient megaloblastic anemia. This is something like for malignancy, what we say pre-malignant conditions. No? This is like, oh yeah, this patient is going to develop, this person is going to develop B12 folic acid deficiency. So next is reticulocyte count. Here it could be low or normal. So we're talking about all the findings in macrocytic anemia. Just summarize that. So you can see this very nice oval macrocyte. It is oval, hypersegmented neutrophil. This teardrop would be there, but it is more seen in iron deficiency. See the ovulocytes, a large RBCs that are there. So what did we learn in the previous class? We said MCV is more than 100 femtoliters. So in these cases, MCH is elevated and MCHC is normal or decreased. Yes. So when we look at these oval macrocytes in a peripheral smear, let us do a reticulocyte count. So if it is increased, let us think whether there is associated hemolytic anemia, blood loss and all that. If it is normal or low, so more than doing all this, we go for bone marrow examination. It's only hematological perspective. Otherwise, you get B12 assay done, you will know. Get folic acid, yes, you know what is the specific cause. So, but when we look at the bone marrow, aspirational biopsy, if it is normoblastic, then think of liver disease or hypothyroidism. So if the bone marrow shows megaloblast, the larger cells, then it could be folate or B12 deficiency or myelodysplasia. So it has typical features in the bone marrow. I won't deal with this. Hypocellular, no cellularity, then bone marrow functioning is impaired, aplastic or hypoplastic anemia. So let us summarize macrocytic anemia. Hemoglobin is decreased. Total count is either normal or decreased. Platelets are normal, decreased. That is, count could be normal or decreased. But we should remember, when hemoglobin is reduced, RBC count is decreased. Total count is decreased. Platelets are also decreased. All the 3, we call it as pancytopenia. So with oval macrocytes in the blood, so it is pancytopenic presentation of macrocytic anemia. That means they can present with pancytopenia. Then MCV more than 100 centimeters. MCHC normal. MCH is more than 35 picogram. So RDW, red cell width, distribution width. So we'll talk more about it when we take specific anemia. That's very important. So peripheral blood picture. This is how we have to write for a macrocytic blood picture. So say RBCs show mild to moderate degree of anisocoagulophytosis. RBCs are macrocytic predominantly, but they're oval. That means oval macrocytes are seen. There could be teardrop or elongated cells, leave that. So red cell inclusions like Havel-Joly bodies, basophilic stippling and Cabot rings are seen. WBCs, the count based on the particular case that we give you. So you can say the count is normal or decreased and few hypersegmented polymorphs are seen or neutrophils are seen and platelets are normal or decreased. And if anemia is more, there could be occasional nucleated red cells. That is, megaloblast could be present. Yes. Serum bilirubin could be increased because there is ineffective erythropoiesis. So before the RBCs are released, there will be lysis or the intramarrow death of the megaloblast. That is feature of dyserythropoietic anemias. Okay. Next. I've shown you this picture. So this had overlay, but I'm not getting it. Okay, fine. So comment on this now. Anisocytosis is there? Yes, there is poikilocytosis. And how are the cells? They're both, yeah, macrocytes, they're microcytes, everything. These are pencil-shaped RBCs. Okay, these are microcytes. Look at the central pallor area. So it is more, it is more. It is looking clear. So if you can make out only the outer rim, we call it as pessary cell. Okay, so anisopoikilocytosis, microcytic. This looks more like a dimorphic blood picture, but predominant is microcytic there. So in microcytic hypochromic anemia, hemoglobin is reduced, red cells are small, hypochromic. There is anisocytosis, poikilocytosis. And in severe cases, red cells, I told you, may reveal only the ring or the outer margin. They are called as pessary cells, and there could be target cells, elliptical cells, and polychromatophilic cells, depending on the bone marrow activity. Okay. So MCV is less than 80 femtoliters. MCHC is less than 31%. MCH is less than 35. Very easy to remember is all the indices are decreased. So RDW, I'll tell you later, it's increased here. Peripheral smear, what do you see? You see RBCs which are smaller than normal. How do you say they're smaller than normal? Compare with the small lymphocyte which is of 8 micron size. Okay. Then pallor, hypochromia. Here we call it a hypochromia. Pallor is a clinical word. Okay, hypochromia is more. That means the clear area in the RBC is half or more than half of the red cell diameter. Then in severe deficiency, again we are repeating, there are only pessary cells. So sorry for the mistake here. It's not pessary. Then few teardrops, erythrocytes, pencil shape could be seen. When we come to WBC count here, it could be normal, sometimes slightly increased. But remember, sometimes these patients can have eosinophilia. Okay, more eosinophils. So that suggests one of the cause for eosinophilia we've taught you is parasitic infestation. So hookworm infestation is one of the etiological factors for iron deficiency. So there will be so many hookworms, they're really hooking onto the mucosa of the small intestine that they suck the blood. So that's why I tell patients don't donate blood to them and donate here in our blood bank. So that could be one of the causes and diseases. So multiple deficiencies, dimorphic anemia is another one which we keep writing about, making a diagnosis. That means in a country like India, where we have deficiencies, if patient has iron deficiency, do you think he has only sole iron deficiency? It could be multiple other deficiencies, iron, folic acid, everything. So then the blood picture would show presence of both macrocytes and microcytes. So we use this terminology, dimorphic anemia, whether people accept it or not. So there's slight confusion in this entity, but what we mean is B12 and folic acid, or both micro and macrocytes are there. Okay. So microcytic anemia, I'm just summarizing. MCV is less. Peripheral smear we have seen. Microcytic cells. Estimate to ferrokinetics. Just taken only one here, serum ferritin. So if it is low, yes, iron deficiency. Normal, then it could be other causes. What we were talking about, microcytosis were thalassemia, sideroblastic anemia, anemia of chronic disease. So what are the causes for microcytic hypochromic anemia? Iron deficiency, thalassemia, sideroblastic anemia, anemia of chronic disease. Okay. So hemoglobin electrophoresis, abnormal hemoglobin. I told you yesterday what are the abnormal hemoglobins that are seen in thalassemia? increased HbF and A2. Yes, so that is thalassemia. So absolute values all are decreased. Remember this, I told you. So total and differential count, it's a repetition telling you the WBC count could be normal or slightly increased. But remember, if there is eosinophilia, so treat the patient for associated parasitic infection. Platelets are usually normal, but they're raised if there is recent hemorrhage. So there is poikilocytosis, could be severe or moderate. So that is about just the important features of microcytic hypochromic anemia. We started with macrocytic anemia, then microcytic. We started with macrocytic anemia. So then I told you microcytic also. So mainly here you've got a knowledge about all this, what is a macrocyte and how it looks and all that. Okay. So you have the skill of identifying all this. So we'll give you peripheral blood picture and the red cell and the blood cell, what is that? Complete blood counts also. So you're going to interpret them now. So then further we'll learn about these deficiencies, the causes and etiopathogenesis and little about treatment and clinical aspects in further classes. Okay. Thank you. Hope you have understood. So how do I know whether you have understood or gone through or heard whatever knowledge I tried to share? So I'll be assessing you now in the practical class, online class. Thank you.